Ronnie Darling is great as well, former Met champion, part of the SNY crew. We saw him the other day here at the Fan. Ronnie, Tiki, and Tierney, welcome to our show for the first time. How you doing, bud?
Great to be here the first time, and thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. So, you knew, and I know that the 86 team built earlier. You had the farm system. 84, you guys were good. 83, Keith came here. 85, you guys, if there was a wild card, would have been a playoff team. But, baseball, while it's not a physical sport or it's not always about energy necessarily, the template for a team and their attitude can be, I think built really within the first few weeks of the season. Mm-hmm. And I feel like this Mets team is building an energy that good teams have. Am I right with that?
I think you are. I think what happens as far as like baseball doesn't seem like you use up that much energy, but I think the great teams or teams that go on to be the better teams that season are the ones that find that energy each and every day. Unlike all the other sports, you have to play every day. So those guys or those teams that find that energy every day, and it starts with who they are as a person, starts with who the manager is. Sometimes it starts with a simple acquisition by a general manager or the owner in the off season that goes under the radar. You just never know what people are going to be put on a ball club that puts them in a better position to withstand the 6-month fight.
Yeah, no, and it's a great day to have a home opener out there with the Tom Seaver statue being unveiled. Tell us what it feels like. What's the atmosphere? There's a ton of people obviously are there significantly earlier than the game is first pitch. But what does it feel like out there to you, Ron?
A great question, Tiki. I never thought it would be anything like that. In fact, at 10:15 for the 10:30 ceremony, I just walked out of the booth and figured I'd saunter over for the ceremony, and there were maybe 50 to 75 people deep all around the statue. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. Many too young to even watch or know Tom Seaver, but I'll tell you this, as I was sitting down, I must have seen a half a dozen gentlemen, probably in their 70s or a little older, with a tissue or a handkerchief gripped tightly in their right hand as they dusted away tears throughout the entire ceremony. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
And, it became really emotional.
No, I bet it did. Look, you knew Tom. You met him over the years, as I'm sure a lot of your colleagues and other Met legends have. From your personal perspective, the man on the diamond was different than obviously the man that you knew personally. Tell us a personal story about Tom.
Yeah, there's always certain people that you meet within the course of your life that when they come in the room, it's just different than anybody else. And Tom was certainly like that. The first time I ever spent any social time with Tom, he was nice enough my first year that I was called up to invite me to his house. So he was gardening. He was gardening outside. He told me to go into his library and just hang out there, and he was going to shower and get ready for dinner. As I was standing there, I saw all the Cy Youngs. I saw the cover of Sport Magazine or Sports Illustrated. And then there was this bureau with 4 drawers, and all of it had baseballs in it because all the drawers were ajar just a bit. Mm-hmm. So I just took a peek, and it was just every drawer was full of balls. So after I got baseballs and after I got to dinner with him and had a glass of wine or two, I felt brave enough to ask the great one. I said, Tom, I couldn't help seeing that bureau with all those baseballs in it. Well, what are those? He said, those are the shutouts.
Oh, that's all. That's it.
So, and I don't know. I think he had 61, right? 61 shutouts.
Yeah, it was in the 60s. Yeah.
61 baseballs. So.
Wow. Oh my God! You could have stolen a few, popped them on the black market, made a few bucks there, young Ronnie. Come on.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So we're talking to Ron Darling. He's out in Queens, obviously. Mets home opener today, and throughout the season, all the Met games as well as the pre and post game coverage on SNY. Guys do a great job. Will be streamed live to SNY subscribers via SNY.TV. They've got the new SNY app, and the SNY app is available. You can download it on iOS, Android, Android TV, Apple TV, Fire TV, Roku. A lot of ways to get it, obviously. It's the way I see. I want to get to Buck for a second. Like, if you're a great manager and you've got no talent as a team, you're not going to win. If you're a bad manager or an average manager and you've got some talent, you'll probably win a little bit. If you're a great manager and you've got real talent, now you set up for something potentially special. And with that, I know the bullpen's going to be a little problematic this year, and they're going to have to probably make a trade. But I look at Buck as a great manager, and I know this team has real talent. Can you try to quantify what somebody like Buck Showalter brings to this team, and not to diss the other managers that have, and there were some good ones here. Terry was fine, et cetera. Bobby was great, but there's been some others that weren't. Why is Buck different? What does he do day-to-day tangibly different?
Well, listen, Tiki has played for some great coaches.
Mm-hmm.
Their difference always seems to be about the same, and that is the attention to detail. And when they're detail-oriented, it makes you detail-oriented. And if they expect certain things out of you, then you expect certain things out of yourself. The guys that inspire and push you past what you even thought you could do are the guys that really make a difference. Now, quantify it, that's hard to say. But
yeah.
The story the other day about the Mets with a lead in the ninth inning, and he was talking to his coaches about what would we do if we got to extra innings.
I saw that.
Just kind of tells you where he's at. And one of the things about Buck, and I'm lucky enough to go into a lot of clubhouses and talk to a lot of managers, you sit in his office, and every single time you'll learn something. He watches the game like no one I've ever met before, and sees things that I've never seen before. So he's just a very special guy, special manager who can inspire. And boy, he's been around a long time. I mean, when he first started managing the Yankees, I was still playing for the Oakland A's.
Oh, yeah.
That experience in baseball, or any sport, to tell you the truth, I think is very important.
Yeah, so you talk. I mean, it's Tom Seaver Day, so it's important to talk about, I think, the Mets pitching, and we know that DeGrom is down for a little bit, but Scherzer's, he came out of a rough start, his first start, but McGill has been amazing. I think it's actually more, I think, positioned to weather this than people would have thought. Talk about the pitching with the Mets going into this season.
Well, Tiki, last year when DeGrom went down, the season went down for the Mets. And why did it? Well, there were a lot of pitchers, and this is not criticizing them, but their depth were a lot of guys in AAA who were trying to come up and try to make their mark again, and they weren't able to do it because of the off-season acquisitions of Max, and even more importantly, of Chris Bassett. I think has given them the depth needed that they can hold it off. Now, their starting pitching has given up, 5 runs in 35 innings so far, so they've handled it well. Now, we've got to pump the brakes because it's only 7 games, right? So you have to, continue to pitch that way. But the depth that they signed in the off-season, there had to be at some point a discussion that, boy, we're going to love having DeGrom and Scherzer, but what if we don't? And what if DeGrom doesn't come back this season like we expect him to? We've got to have people there that can take some of that weight. And the signing of Scherzer and again, I'll say more importantly, Chris Bassett was huge.
Yeah, but here's the thing too, Ronnie. Why it's even more beneficial is that you're not going to have to rush DeGrom back.
Now that's the most important thing. You see a lot of the great teams, the Dodgers and other teams. They'll have a player injured, Kershaw last season, and they don't even have to bring him back because they continue to win. I mean, that's the best elixir for DeGrom getting back healthy, and is that they win games and they're right where they want to be, and then they'll bring him back so that he's healthy for July, August, and September and beyond. So, but let's hope that happens.
Precisely. I mean, if the Mets were meandering, or they were 29-31, which I don't think anybody expects when I'm just throwing out numbers. I think this team's a lot better now, but there might be this inward voice saying, "All right, we got to get them out there. Season's slipping away." But with the arms they have, I think they've got that luxury. And I wanted to throw something else by you about Alonso. Teague and I were talking about this yesterday on the show, and we're with Ron Darling here on The Fan. The Yankees, they just messed up the Judge stuff. I mean, they just kept punting, and they are where they are with Judge's contract. Wouldn't it behoove the Mets, at least maybe after the season, to approach Alonso's camp with a long-term extension while he's still in his late 20s and, really avoid what the Yankees are in the middle of now?
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think that when I try to look at players, their uniqueness. And when I see Pete Alonso, I mean, how many first basemen in baseball are like Pete? And I'm talking about just a pure power bat that in his worst year is going to be 30-plus home runs, a guy that has the upside of 50-plus home runs. I just think he's and it's not only that. When you sign a young person to an extension or a contract that takes them through their arbitration or free agent years, you got to be certain that you're getting a good person, a person that's a positive for your ball club. I mean, is there anything that Pete has done that is not positive as his time in the major leagues?
No.
He's just been really a special person, special player, and Guerrero might be a guy. Now people are going to go, well, Alonso's not in Guerrero's league. Well, you know what? Alonso is that kind of power bat. There's only a few in baseball, and he's one of them.
Yeah. No, Ron, one more question before we let you go. I got to take you back again, a Seaver Story. 1983, April 5th to be exact. You're a rookie, your first year. Tom Seaver has just been 5.5 years in Cincinnati. I was listening to Bob Husler talk about his favorite opener was that opener when Seaver pitched on April 5th in 1983. What was that moment like for you as a rookie, knowing the legend of Seaver as a former Met, went away for 5.5 years, he comes back, there's only 1 year left here in New York. What was that opening day like for you?
Well, Tom had such a great feel on how to be great, how to pitch, and how to entertain. And the bullpen for warming up was in the right field, beyond right field. And every pitcher, after they were loose for a game, would walk within the bowels of the stadium, which took you to the dugout and out to the field. And Mets fans who were there that day will always remember him opening those bullpen doors, walking with his hat in his hand, towel around his neck.
Jacket.
50,000 people going nuts because he had a feel for, he was the guy that everyone came to see. And that was a special opener. And I'll tell you right now, just being around here, and you guys are tapped into New York sports more than I am, this is the first time I've ever felt the fans like this here at Citi Field or Shea Stadium in quite some time.
Wow, that's a big statement, man.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's an erroneous one, but it's a big one. Ronnie, good stuff. Hopefully we get a chance to chat throughout the season. Great team, you and Keith and Gary, and have an awesome season on SNY with the national stuff as well. We appreciate you, dude. Thank you very much.
You guys do a great job. Keep it.
You got it.
Thanks.
All right, Ronnie. Thank you very much. Ron Darling.